Guys, I think I just deleted something on my camera, and to be completely honest with you, I am not sure what I deleted. So hopefully nothing important. Humble sort of style. Give it a right. Give me more. Let me be the guy. I'm a new black. Cutting in the heart. Why be a king when you can be a guy? Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to today's podcast about Notre Dame de Paris and my story with it. I just want to be honest and be transparent and kind of get you in the loop of what's going on in my life and why am I promoting this. For most of you, you don't know what it is. What am I even promoting? How did my life change? I kind of like, let's have a girl talk. Let's have a girl boy talk together, okay? Shall we? Plus we have amazing bow over here. A beautiful flower will look flawless, will look great. And this is something that I've wanted to share with you because this is also a very transformational story. And what we are going to talk about today is how to overcome and how I overcame a lot of fear and anxiety about showing up in the world, walking into your fears, and what are some things that I have personally used in my life that have helped me deal with a lot of, anxiety. That fear when we want to do something, then there is so much fear, okay, I don't understand. Why am I so white on this side? Shall I close is this better? I'm not sure, but from what I see, will look pretty good. So let's just move on. Let's just continue with my story. Thank you, first of all, for coming to this channel. My name is Elizaveta. I am a clinical psychologist, and on this channel, I have so many different things happening, which we're gonna step into today and discuss all the good stuff. Okay, so let me take you back to the beginning. The beginning of this story starts in August last year, and then the pre-beginning, like the prequel, starts when I'm 6 years old. So let's get back to last August. Last August was such a transformational period for me because at that time I was still married to my ex-husband, to the person I've been with for 5 years, and I was in a very happy marriage. I am very grateful that that chapter of my life has happened and everything that it did bring me. And also at this time last year, I was pregnant. So that August changed it all. Now let's do a rewind and go back to the time when I was 6 years old. And what Notre Dame de Paris really is, and where am I standing with it. Oh my God, I need to concentrate what we're talking about here, guys, So as you know, from this past August to today, a lot of things have changed in my life. First of all, I did get a divorce. Me and my ex-husband split. I got into another relationship. I did have an abortion, and I have a separate video about that if you want to hear my story and listen to my insights and see what I went through and how I went through that. And also, I am currently coming back to my music and creative self, which is such a huge and big step for me. Back in the days, before I was even married, this is a very interesting way of how life is actually bringing all these things together, how life is putting all these things together. It's really fascinating for me. So throughout this year, less than a year since August, right? September, October, November, December, January. Recently, I have released a music video of me singing the main song of the main character of this musical Notre Dame de Paris. And some of you who know me as strictly a psychologist, or some of you might even remember me having my music career, you might wonder, like, what the hell happened and why, what am I doing? Why am I back singing? Why am I singing not in the genre I used to sing? What is this musical like? What is happening in my life? And that's what this story is going to be about. Now let me take you back to the time when I was 6 years old. When I was 6 years old is a very significant date for me because that is where I fell in love with music. That is when I realized, or I felt like music had to be and become a part of my life, a big part of my life, and that I was meant to pursue it. And yes, all of that I have realized when I was like a little girl at 6 years old. And what happened, the event that charged all of that, was the musical Notre Dame de Paris. You're gonna hear that a lot. What it means, it's Victor Hugo, a French writer, in 1500, 1600, don't catch me on that. We literally just checked today the day of the events at Notre Dame de Paris, and I think it was 1482. When the book was released, it was 61. But what is it, 1861? I believe it was that. So fact check me on that. I'm going to fact check myself on the post-production. So we'll see. We'll see if I am as smart as I say. Haha. So this story of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, some of you, especially if you're watching it in US, you might know the story of Hunchback of Notre Dame because there was a Disney cartoon, beautiful Disney cartoon about it, which, by the way, was my favorite princess. Two of my favorite princesses from Disney were Esmeralda from Hunchback of Notre Dame and Jasmine from Aladdin, because I was identifying myself with them the most, right? They both were very Arabic, very mixed race. They had different blood in them. They were brown hair, brown curly hair, sensual, sexual, very curvy. So that is something that I was identifying with. And I still, to this day, when I am wearing like straight hair, like right now, I don't always feel comfortable with that because this is not my internal representation of me. I see myself as Esmeralda if I were to choose a character from a Disney cartoon. Anyway, back at when I was 6 years old, my mom brought me to this musical Notre Dame de Paris, which is a French Quebecan adaptation of that book, of the story of Hunchback of Notre Dame and Esmeralda and Frollo, all the good things. And believe me, this is, to this day, one of the best, most magical pieces of music I have ever heard. I remember that day when I saw the musical, my life changed, transformed. Like some energies of this egregor, of this musical entered me, and I knew that I was meant to be on stage. I knew that music is going to become, I'm going to cry as I'm talking about this, is going to become a big part of my life, and it's gonna lead me to where I'm supposed to go at one point. And again, I was 6 years old. The musical was a Russian adaptation of the French musical, so it was in Russian. But we bought the booklet, and after I saw the musical, I literally was running around my house. We had a 2-floor house, and I was running around every single day learning the French words and lyrics by heart and just singing them out of nowhere. I was just singing them every single day. And that day literally transformed my life, because from that point on, I knew that I cannot live without stage. Like, stage is something that fills me up. Stage is something I'm meant to be at. Stage is something that is calling me, that calls me. And yes, and I went to school and I started performing in a lot of school musicals and school, like obviously in Russia it's not as good or high quality as it is in American schools, when you have a separate class on musical theater and you have your drama, drama, extracurricular, all that stuff. But we still had some musicals and some shows, and I was always the star of all of them. Like, for coming into teenage years and starting to get more conscious about myself and my representation, like, I was the star of every single musical. Like, there are some pictures over here of me being in the cat costume, like there was a Russian musical, the Mama, and I just felt right when I was doing it. I was so connected to performance arts and acting and singing and dancing and everything where you have to be on stage, and all because of Notre Dame de Paris, because I saw it and I don't know, it felt like I was shown something very, very important. I was shown at that day something that needs to transform and change my life forever, right? Keep watching, kids, because it's gonna get only better and better. So I saw that, and I was doing all the school theater, and then at some point when I was getting into like 5th grade or something, 6th grade maybe, because I left school when I was in the 9th grade, and I finished the rest of high school in 1 year. I started getting more and more involved with music. Like, music became a big part of my reality. Music was how I escaped and found myself, and it was my creative outlet. So when I graduated school, when I finished school early, I was already involved in a lot of underground music circles, like rock bands and punk rock and all that good stuff. And it was my decision what to do next in life. And I chose to, and I got accepted to Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London. So bring these two pieces together, right? 6 years old, saw the musical, 9th grade, whatever, how old is it? Like 16 or 17. Moved by myself to London, to the UK, to study musical theater. I remember talking to my parents years and years after, and they both opened up to me. Like, my mom opened up because she said that her and my dad believed that if I go there, like to London, to pursue musical theater for a year, I would get so done with it. I would just come back and go into something that's more appropriate, like the lawyer, or get like an economy degree or something like that, right? I would ask to get back to Russia. But no, it once again reassured me that this is a path that I love. Like, I love to be on stage. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to perform. I love to channel all these energies through me into the world to see, right? I loved that, and I was really, really good at that. I got into a musical called Rock of Ages because of Simon. Simon, if you're watching this musical, hello. This is my musical. Da-da, ba-da, boo! Simon helped me get into the Rock of Ages of the UK. And after a year spent in London, I was like, I didn't like the foggy weather. I did face a lot of hardship there. It wasn't all, fun and good because, again, I was really young. I was 16 years old. And to be by myself in a different country for the first time for that long, for a year, right? Pursuing something where I have no connections, is literally zero. And I'm kind of starting from scratch. Like, I don't know anyone. I don't have anything. There is not a big musical theater culture in Russia, so everything was just brand new for me. After West End, I was like thinking what would be the next step, whether to stay in London and continue my West End career, or I decided that, we think bigger and better, financial energy in the chat, you want to expand, you want to hit the next level. So I chose to move to Broadway, to New York, because Broadway is the epicenter of musical theater. It is the foundation. It is the best of the best. It's the number one place you want to be in if you're in the MT, if you're a triple threat, which means you dance, act, sing, and if you want to be in the musicals. So I moved to New York. So now, backtracking and reminding you, Notre Dame de Paris, 6 years old, brought me to music first, then to London, then to New York. At 18 years old, I literally just turned 18 in July, and in August, I moved to New York by myself. My dad came with me for a week just to help me settle down. Like, I didn't have anything. No furniture. I had like one luggage of clothes and that's it. I just started having friends in London, and then I just scratched everything and went to New York. The big city, right? Like, a lot of people who actually live in the United States and for whom English is the first language, even they feel pressure when they move to New York, from Oklahoma or from Ohio or anywhere, Texas, Miami, from anywhere. From even California, when you move to New York, you're like, whoa. And here's me. This is not my country. This is not my first language. I am just turned 18. God damn it, I'm not even legal to drink in US. Not that it stopped me ever. And I have no one. I went to school to continue doing musical theater. And first few months were pretty good. I got into some work off Broadway. I was continuing to study. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to give it a shot. But honestly, it was getting so depressive, like more and more depressive. Being alone, being so far away, having absolutely zero friends, zero connections, zero anything in New York. And I was getting very, very sad. A long story short, I don't know if I should share my story about New York. I was getting very involved with like drugs and alcohol. and the party scene, because something just did not feel right. At that time, something did not feel right. I was seeing how two-faced the Broadway scene is, and to be completely honest with you, there was one accident that I started realizing that, okay, maybe I don't want to do musical theater forever. Maybe it's not something that I want to do right now, because when you're on Broadway, the competition is huge. Like, it is insane. And at the end of the day, no one knows you. And that was so sad, because I was going to all these musicals. I started having, acquaintances who were starring in places like Wicked on Broadway or Rock of Ages. Again, like, obviously my favorite musical, Rock of Ages. I knew every single person on the cast, whether in West End or whether on Broadway. Joe, I think his name was, my friend Joey. Stacey Jacks. Actually, I would love to do Rock of Ages once again. Yeah, out of all the musicals on and off Broadway, I would love to do Rock of Ages, if we're talking about American musicals. So if you're watching this as a producer of Rock of Ages, you know who to call. Obviously, I'm not going to be Sherry. I was never Sherry, but I think I was, what's her name? Katrin, like the girl who loved Stacey Jackson. She was like, oh, let me hear you sing, sign me. God damn it, I forget her name. Anyway, doesn't matter. That was the sad thing for me, is seeing all these people who go through all this competition. And again, at 18 years old, god damn it, I was pretty smart. I was freaking smart, okay? I was seeing and thinking 10 steps ahead already. I was like, I'm not wasting my time on this. Because when you're on Broadway, you can be in the best, most famous, like, I remember Book of Mormon was coming out, I think. Or like, what was it? Newsies, something like that, about newspaper boys. And it just went on Broadway. I think it won Tony Awards. And we meet the main character. And once they are off stage, they leave the theater and they just blend into the world. Like, they blend in fully. They go on the subway and nobody remembers who they are anymore. And that was one of the saddest moments for me. Not saddest, but I just realized that this is not what I want. I don't want that. And I started getting more and more, with alcohol, drugs, with rock music. And I was like, I have a lot to share as me. I have a lot to say. I am a character. I'm a personality. And back then I was known as Moscow. Like, Moscow was the way to describe me as a person, as a personality. I was very kitsch, right? I was very big and grandiose and loud, and I don't know, I was just a lot. Guys, I still am a lot, but back then I was a lot without knowing how to package all that, okay? A lot without good marketing. I remember my ballet teacher called me Moscow because I was so like, ooh, my fur coat on. Duh. Kitsch. I was kitsch. By the end of my time and stay in New York, I'm not gonna make this podcast forever, but I really started missing my family, and I started missing my mom a lot. And all I needed at that time was for my mom to come back and pick me up, because I was crying and calling her every single day. At the end of my stay in New York, in like spring, I stopped going to work. I stopped going to school. I was literally just ordering in drugs and alcohol and food, and I was staying at home in my apartment on my bed, and I was crying and begging for somebody to come and save me and pick me up, and nobody was doing that. And that was happening simultaneously, but it's important to mention that, because that's kind of the key of why I quit music for so long, and why I quit the entertainment scene for so long, and why I'm coming back now. And I am coming back with a boom, bitch. With a boom. At the end of New York stay, nobody comes to save me. Nobody comes to pick me up. My mom is not there anywhere to find. Like, she's living her life. She's doing her own thing. And I meet Motley Crue. I went to a concert. Last money that I have saved and spent, I spent on the VIP for Motley Crue, because that is the band that I literally was listening to all the time at home, just crying and doing all bad stuff. All types of bad stuff. And I was there just being depressed and listening to that, and I spend the money. I go meet Motley Crue, and I show up in this not nightgown, but like Oscar gala gown, like floor with a cape, not a cape, but like the thing that goes underneath behind you. Oh, that whatever that's called. I was like prepared for Cannes Festival, and everyone's wearing, it's a Motley Crue concert. It's like a hard rock concert. Everybody's in summer wearing jeans shorts and like cowboy boots, and there is me in sunglasses, huge hairdo, like huge extensions, and this lioness shows up with this nightgown. I have the front seat in the front, front of this arena, and I show up and I walk there like a freaking star. I knew how to make an appearance. Like I still do, but I knew it. That was like my thing, always my thing. You cannot miss me. So I show up like that, and Alice Cooper was opening for Motley Crue, and the whole band was watching me instead of really doing the show. I mean, they were great doing the show, but they were watching me. They saw me in the front row. I could see them talking to each other, being like, oh my God, who's this girl? Who the hell is this girl? Who the hell is this girl? Then my vision got blurred a little bit because obviously I was like partying. Next things I remember, I was like backstage with them, and I was meeting the band. I was meeting Motley Crue. I was meeting Alice Cooper and his band, and I'm talking to Nita, who is an amazing guitarist, female guitarist for Alice Cooper, and I'm telling her how unhappy I am. And we're like in the bus of the guys, and she's like, why don't you move to California? Like, California is for you. If you want to do your own music, like, move there. I'm going to introduce you to people. And I'm like, okay, I will. And I did. And next month, it was in August, I literally packed everything. I ordered a delivery company or whatever, like the moving company. And I moved to California. In the first month and a half, because all my furniture was stuck, I was sleeping on this blanket. Actually, it's still here. Oh, God. Still here with me. This blanket. And I had this one pillow, like a teddy bear. And that was my pillow. That's it. That's how I spent my first month and a half living in LA. But I was so happy because finally I could do something I was really excited about, which is doing my own music. Then fast forward, rewinding, Notre Dame brought me to musical theater in London, to Broadway, now to my own music. It charged my creativity, guys. So don't forget about it, because this is what we are talking here. We're not talking about my addictions or my Motley Crue party days. That might be a different podcast if you're interested. Today, we're talking about Notre Dame. So I started doing my own music. And right at the time when I was landing and I was like really following through with, like, I had my own tour around America and my songs were doing well, and I got the radio stations like picking up my songs. At that time, I was already in the relationship, or got into a relationship with my ex-husband. And that was one of the reasons why I quit music. Like, literally after I stopped my tour, finished my tour, US tour, I quit music. And the reason behind that is because at that point, music, or this like rock music specifically, was satisfying a specific need for me to be seen and accepted. It wasn't pure creativity. It was that blended with a narcissistic trauma, with that traumatic experience I had with my mom when I was like waving at her, being like, hey, see me, please come save me from New York. Save me, I'm begging you. But she didn't. And guess who replaced that? My ex-husband did. He was very loving, and he gave me this unconditional love and acceptance and, all the good things. So doing music just didn't feel right anymore for me. And I went into psychology to actually be able to explain you nowadays what exactly happened to me. So that's what happened. Okay, long story short, blah, blah, blah. 5 years, psychology, private training, getting my master's, getting my degrees, constant studying, constant private practice, clients, all that stuff. And then poof, last year happens. And last year once again shifted my life. Something probably in my astrological chart. I don't know. Who knows that? Let me know down in the comments below. Maybe you're a pro on all those things, numerology, astrology. Let me know if maybe like my cycle changed. Because last year was literally transformational. Clap, 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 clap. Last year the musical came back into my life. And it was so random because I always remembered about Notre Dame de Paris. Like, that musical always had a very special place in my heart. It was like, that first teacher, the first lover that you never forget. Like, even though I don't remember my first lover, I do remember my first musical lover, which is this musical. And I always held this like tenderness and love and care about that piece of music. And I even showed it to my ex-husband. Like, I share this music with everyone that I know because I believe it's music from God. Like, it holds something very, very strong and special for humankind. It has the codes. It carries the coding that is much deeper and more powerful than what an eye can see. Okay? And now I'm more and more figuring out that it's actually the codes behind the egregor, right, of that musical is so specific and so powerful, and it transforms people's lives in all different ways. So last year in June, I remembered about it. And by the way, throughout 20 years since I saw this musical for the first time at 6 years old, I never knew it was ever restaged. I thought they did it once. It was a huge success in French community in Europe, and then everyone forgot about it. Like, that's what I thought. But I Googled it last June, and I saw that for the first time in 20 years, they're coming to New York. And I'm like, wait, what? And the dates that this musical was coming to New York for like 2-week run or the 10-day run were identical to the dates that we were going for my birthday to Ireland. From the day we're leaving to the day we're coming back, that's when the musical was running. And I remember going to bed and crying because I was like, I cannot believe there's no way around, and I will never see this musical that means so much to me and to my personal journey. I will not be able to see it live. And the next day I wake up and I realize that it doesn't make sense financially. Like, hello, I was in musical theater business. I know how it works. You have to pay the stage, the theater, all the tech people, like cast, everything. And you cannot bring the whole production for just 2 weeks of the run. It doesn't make sense financially. You won't be able to make your money back. So somehow I found the French website that does not get translated into English, that the musical is actually running in Quebec, in Montreal after that. And I'm like, I'm going. I have to go. We're going to see this musical. And we booked the tickets, and in August, we went to see the musical in Quebec, in Montreal, for like literally 2 days. And that's how I met my fiance right now, because we met on Instagram and we texted each other back and forth, and we fell in love, and it was very interesting. And right now, when I'm discussing it with him, I can clearly see how all these things that are being connected from however you want to believe in it, like a higher power, your soul path, but these keys that the path leaves on your journey. Like for me, it was seeing that musical, and who knows, maybe that was a key for me to meet him, later in life. Maybe for me to see that musical at 6 years old, maybe it was this key for me to meet my current partner, and for him the same way. Like, the little keys, the little hacks, hints that we encounter throughout our lives, the signs that you don't know how they're going to unfold, but they unfold in this absolutely magical way as we go on. Absolutely unexpected, unknown territories of, wait, what if? This is why I had to see that musical. So in 20 years, we can meet. I can come and find you performing. So yes, my current partner, I don't know if I mentioned that, is the lead singer of this musical. And he has been that for 10 plus years. And that is how my journey restarted. The musical brought me love, brought me this amazing relationship, and this new wave of this new path of my personal experience, of my personal love, of where I'm going with it and what I'm doing with my reality, with my life. And I realized when we've met, I was like, wait, I actually miss stage. I actually love stage. And in our relationship and in my relationship, something I might touch on today as well, it was very steep subject, especially when you come from like a specific career, and then another person hasn't been in that career for X amount of years, for many years. Then you might feel very, contradictory about like, wait, what are you talking about? But for me, this past year and this relationship really healed a lot of traumas for me, and a lot of places for me. I was so doubtful. I knew originally, I got this idea that I'm like, wait a second, like Esmeralda was my favorite character. Esmeralda was like the musical and the person that, I don't know, character musically that brought me into music, into musical theater, into my whole journey to America. At the end of the day, it brought me to United States. It brought me to this apartment. It brought me where I am today. All the ups and downs, all the journeys, all the lessons that I've learned, technically were also because of that. And I wanted to pay homage to that because I started listening to all the stories from cast members, present and past, about how this musical was bringing so many people together. Like, one of the codes of this musical is love. One of the energetic coding of Notre Dame de Paris, Le Musical, is love. Not because of its story, because story is literally about suffering. Everybody's suffering. I want to do a music video. I want to do a YouTube video where I'm going to be depicting the characters of the musical and of Victor Hugo's book, because like there are a lot of psychological problems, believe me or not. But the musical itself, the energy of the musical, carries the codes of love, because so many people met and had children and found their soulmate and found their partner and found somebody who is from their soul group because of this musical. Whether it is like, I know stories of girls or guys who watched this musical 20 years ago and they met the person who was in it and they fell in love and created a family. I know the stories of people who met, during auditions, or met when they both were in the cast, who met, like, I don't know, vicariously. Like, I met because of the musical, right? I met because I went to see it, and then I tagged Angelo, and then he responded, and, now we're engaged. La la. Ooh la la. So it's fascinating. And it was speaking so much to my soul that at one point I knew I could not resist it anymore. And whenever something, and I live by that rule personally, if something really speaks to your soul, you have to do it. There is a reason why these codes, why certain things resonate with you on this core level. Sometimes you just can't not do it. And I was like, I want to do a video. I want to come back to singing. I want to come back to stage through recording this song and doing a video. And that was my original idea. And the amount of pressure that I felt from that, especially being with someone who is in the cast for like so many years, I did have a lot of pressure on me, and I was scared, and I was tearful, and I was doubtful. I was devaluing myself a lot, and we had a lot of arguments about that. I remember right before shooting the video, which happened in February, and having an argument about that, it clicked for me. Finally, it clicked, something very important, where I knew that I'm doing it for me. I am not seeking the external approval, or I am not seeking anything externally. I 100% value what I'm doing, what it means to me, what I'm transcending with this into the world, and why I'm doing it. And now I feel so powerful because I can legalize it. I can talk about it. Now the video is almost at 400,000. It's over 400,000 views. Can you believe that? Like, it's amazing. I'm so happy that I did it, but it just feels normal and it feels organic. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to stop here. I am going to continue. I'm going to continue following my heart. I'm going to continue doing the things that I believe in and the things that resonate with me. And if somebody has an opinion about that, that's their opinion. Like, if I truly believe it and I'm not seeking this validation, this is what art is, right? Art form in any way or shape, it's about transcending your internal state and leaving a piece of you through something that has a different form, whether it's a painting, a song, a video, anything creative. If you think about it, like, life is creativity. A great book by it is called The Art of Life, I think, by Rick Rubin. Read it. I finished it and it's amazing. But the form of art is literally taking a piece of yourself and transcending it just into a different form. The form that can be transcended to other people and shared to other people. And the less you care about the opinion, like, if it's not your primal focus, if you're just following through with what you know resonates with your heart and resonates with your soul and means something to you, and you know that you want it, just go with it. Just do it. And the fun thing about it is once I realized it for me, once I finished shooting the video and I realized that no matter what somebody says about it, I'm okay because I am proud, I'm happy, and I love it. And I'm legalizing it. Yes, I did Esmeralda song. Yes, I am recording the parts from the musical. Yes, I don't know what next life is going to hold, but I'm going to pursue something that speaks to me and speaks to my heart, right? Let's see what's going to come out of it. I don't know yet. I don't know. But I know I'm going to be honest with myself. And once I felt that and once I said that to myself, everybody changed. And I remember when I released the video, and even before that, even my partner, my love, Angelo, who before was skeptical about it, he started texting me things that I never expected to hear from him, like the words of affirmation, the pride, all the things that I was seeking and not getting right after I released it. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing it for me. I got all that. There was something very important, the text message he sent me when they were on tour in Turkey last year. I'm not going to say what it was, but I was like, wow, I love hearing that. I don't need it anymore, but it means so much to me. I value it so much, you know? And the amount of resonance I received once I released it from all my friends and from people that I haven't heard from for a long time, it's overwhelming. And I'm so happy that I'm following with this. And I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue doing. I don't know where it's going to come, but I know I am back in the creative industry and in the creative business. So that was my little speech, my little spiel. So I'm going to have a little bit of coffee and go maybe have a drink or something. But don't forget to follow your heart. Your soul, your path, it consists of these tips, of these hacks, of these symbols throughout your life. If you learn how to pay attention to them, you will know where you need to go. Work on your fears, work on why you're doing something, and remember that life is the art, the form of art. And the more transparent it is, and the more heartful and heartfelt and honest and legalized it is, the better the outcome is going to be for you. It was your Esmeralda. Don't forget to watch the video. I'm going to link it. It's right here. Actually, yeah, it's right here. Like and subscribe this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you would love to see me as Esmeralda in Notre Dame de Paris one day. For a short run, but it would be great. We'll see. It would be amazing. It would be a dream come true. I will see you in the next video. I love you and thank you for staying with me. Ciao. Bye.